Full-time Devils Arsenal preview. Jay Motty, do you think there's a chance this could be Jose Mourinho's last game in charge of Manchester United?
I don't think so, to be honest with you. I'm not saying we think we'll win. I'm just saying I don't think he'll get sacked if we don't win. So no, in answer to your question, I don't think it will be Jose Mourinho's last game in charge. I think Jose Mourinho's last game in charge will come when it's mathematically impossible for United to make the Champions League, which might be a lot sooner than we think.
Why do you think that? Is that to do with the severance package that we've all heard about?
I just think a mixture of things. I think the club might be reluctant to sack him so soon in the season, especially after the fact, what would that be? Counting caretaker managers, is that 4 managers in 3 seasons, is it? Or something like that. I think, his severance package might be something, and he might believe, and the board might believe, he's earned the right to see out the season a bit further than December after his first 2 seasons, which were relatively successful. All right, last season wasn't great, but 81 points wasn't a shambles. And I think that might have bought him enough time to sort of justify keeping him past the January transfer window and giving him the chance to try and get us out of the mess that he's got us in, or that we've got ourselves in.
I think that makes a lot of sense there, Jay, actually. Maybe he has earned that based on what he's won at United so far. Adam, would you disagree? Would you say get him out as soon as we lost that game versus Arsenal if we were to lose? Okay, we haven't gone before.
I don't know, because if you were going to get rid of him for a performance or a result, that would have or should have happened by now. And that's why I kind of agree with Jay. I think they're waiting for it to become mathematically impossible to maybe trigger something in his contract. But then I think that is a really stupid way of looking at things, because that's saving money, but then you're also losing money by missing out on the Champions League, potentially having some of your biggest and best players wanting to leave because there's no Champions League. And I think that causes problems of its own. So whilst we all know the club are pretty, and Ed Woodward and the board aren't really footballing men, I don't think they would make a decision based on a clause, like based on a financial decision that small, when the bigger impact could be a bigger financial impact on the club. Because I think it aren't the clauses in like the Adidas deal and things like that, where if we don't get top 4 Champions League, money comes off there. So I think the money involved to sack him is so small compared to what we could lose elsewhere on missing out on the Champions League. So whilst I think they might be waiting for that to happen, I think if they are, it's pretty stupid. Now, like Jay said, winning those 2 trophies, I think, and his first 18 months in charge at Manchester United, I think have probably earned him that right to try and fix things. I think the problem for Manchester United fans that share my opinions or think similarly to the way I do, not everyone thinks like that, is it worth it? Because I think it looks pretty clear at the moment that Jose Mourinho isn't going to change things. To me, I mean, we could likely win it's unlikely. Imagine we win the Champions League. Jose Mourinho wouldn't surprise me in doing that. He obviously has the ability to do that. And the players, the way they are performing, I could imagine them just switching it on every now and then, just because their own personal pride's at stake, when even if they don't agree with the manager, they want to try and win something. But ultimately, it doesn't look like it's improving on the pitch. We saw points dropped in games where we should be winning those matches. Southampton was an absolute disgrace, because Southampton are poor at the moment, that we shouldn't be dropping those points. And Jose's not changing anything. He's not changing his approach to anything. He's not changing anything tactically. It doesn't look like he's trying to fix this problem. So to me, I don't see a resolution to it with him in charge, which is unfortunate, really, because when we saw Jose Mourinho, I know people look at me and think, oh, he's Jose.
No, I know what you're saying, mate.
I wanted this guy to be a success.
Yeah, we all do.
But he's not going to be.
It's not going to happen now. We all know that. I think that it's become pretty evident to us all that it's incredibly unlikely that Jose Mourinho actually pulls things around this season. Scott, I know you've been quite a fan of Jose on Twitter and various other places. Do you think that getting rid of him is going to help anything this season, or do you think this season is just a write-off and he has at least earned his place till the end of the season?
I think Ed Woodward's actions at the beginning of the season wrote the season off. Not investing in defence when we all, who didn't know? We all knew that we needed a defender. I think when he did that, but then when you realise that, again, we are more than 400 million in transfer debt, maybe that was the reason why we didn't invest in any of the players. There are so many issues at United. Jose is not the problem. I mean, he's part of the problem. But like I say, it's by sacking him, it's just, putting a plaster on a bullet wound. It's just, there's too much to it. I mean, like I said, someone needs to really analyse Ed Woodward, what he's actually done since he's been at the club. I mean, people turn around and say, like we spoke, before this, with regards to actually bringing money into the club. Well, how hard is it to sell our history to a company, to advertise as a partner? It can't be that difficult. It really can't be that difficult, considering how prestigious we are. So there's more to it, and I do believe that, again, with the 75 million Adidas deal, top four is enough for the Glazers and Ed Woodward. The Champions League, we're still in there. I don't think Jose Mourinho is going to get fired unless it's a Moyes situation where it is mathematically impossible. I think he is definitely going to stay, but they need to back him. Whether they will, I really don't know. But they need to back him in January. But I mean, we've got so many issues, so many problems, and unless the Glazers sell, I don't know the answer, and they have to sell.
I agree with that in terms of when Jose Mourinho eventually goes, or if he, whatever happens, if he's sacked tomorrow, let's say, if Jose Mourinho goes, we then have to restructure everything else, because. Yeah. And that's why I think Ed Wood was hesitant to pull the trigger here, because if he pulls the trigger on his man, another one of his appointments, I won't give him the Moyes appointment because that was a Sir Alex Ferguson thing, but Louis van Gaal, the transfer windows around those managers, and Jose Mourinho have been his appointments, so he may be hesitant to pull the trigger on him because of the simple fact it makes him look like a failure. We heard a couple of months back, there was a briefing to the press, we're looking at a director of football. Nothing has happened since. No. And I think it's evident that Jose Mourinho, I disagree with the aspects that after the summer, it was pretty much done. No, because you look at Pochettino at Spurs, he had no signings, he wanted signings. He didn't throw his toys. He complained, but he didn't throw the toys out of his pram with his own players. I think a new manager brings a different approach, a different man management, there's a different tactics, everything. These players aren't responding to this manager. So whilst I agree that when the manager goes, Ed Woodward has to be looked at, the structure around him has to get changed before we appoint a new manager. There's a lot that changes with a new manager. I think we're excusing Mourinho for a lot of what he's doing and a lot that he's done in the past, and we're kind of overlooking it in the hope that he'll come good.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, and what
a lot of the things he does wrong, you can't blame on Ed Woodward.
Can I ask Justin a question? I mean, Justin, can you explain to us what the actual structure is? I mean, is Ed Woodward in charge of absolutely everything? I mean, can you just explain to everyone?
I don't even think Ed Woodward can explain the structure, let alone me. I'm glued, to be honest with you. I know from looking on the outside, I know what you know, Scott, I'll be honest with you. I know, I hear things, but I hear probably what you guys hear as well. I'm certainly not any ITK. I know a few people that might know, and what they suggest is probably what you guys are hearing as well. And it's just a bit of a shambles, it's a bit of a mess. And no matter who's in charge, the way you look at it, for me, yes, we should be doing better with the team we've got and the squad we've got. We should be beating Southampton, Crystal Palace, Wolves, Valencia, West Ham, all those teams, definitely. But I thought in the summer, we were 19 points behind City last season. They go out and break their transfer record to buy Riyad Mahrez. We bring in Fred, Diego Dalot and Lee Grant. We're not going to catch him. We're not. That's what we should be aspiring to. Forget about we should be okay and we should be doing as well as Spurs or as well as other teams that haven't spent Arsenal or whatever. We should be trying to be top of the league. We should be trying to beat City and get above them. And we didn't set out to do that in the summer. We didn't look at City and go, right, we can catch them, we can buy it, we can beat them. We looked at them and thought, we're miles behind. Let's buy Fred. Let's buy a couple of reserve players and let's just hope for the best. And it was never going to work. And yes, it's it's not black or white. I think there's a mixture of Mourinho obviously spat his dummy out to an extent he shouldn't have done. But he was right. He was right in saying it's going to be a difficult season. So it's not like...
It's hard as well, because when he gets players like Sanchez, like Fred, you look at what he's done with them.
I get that.
He's partly destroyed it. It's like... Sanchez, it's hard, like, do you give him more players and then he just does that to them, and then like it's really like a catch-22 at the moment because we need
the guys are making sense, and you're all sort of saying similar things. You're saying that there are obviously a lot of problems at the club, but they do go beyond Jose Mourinho. There's a multitude of problems. I'm seeing people online. Some people want to blame Woodward. Some people want to blame the Glazers. Some people want to blame Jose. And the truth probably is that they're all right. Like you are all right probably, and it feels like everyone's arguing with each other. Right, let's move on from Jose and let's talk about injuries because we weirdly had a full fit squad, and then all of a sudden we've got 9 players doubtful, 2 definitely out, and of course the mighty captain, leader, legend, our best player, Ashley Young, suspended. So this is obviously going to be complicating things for us. Adam, do you think we have a squad big enough to deal with that massive loss of Ashley Young?
I don't think in defence. I think we have a big enough squad in defence. We don't have enough quality in defence. That's the problem. We have a big enough squad there. There's loads of fullbacks. There's loads of centre half. The problem is they're all so like they're not all. That's unfair. Like Luke Shaw.
There's loads of fullbacks.
There's Luke Shaw. There's Darmian. There's Valencia. There's Young.
Fullback. He's a winger playing at fullback.
But
he's a winger playing. But that's the problem.
If you ask him what he is now, he said. If you ask Valencia what position he plays, he'll say I'm a fullback. You know he would say like he is we've got loads of them. The problem is they're all rubbish. The injuries are absolute madness, and the only hope is Rojo's available now because he was on the bench against Southampton, and Phil Jones played okay, and Rojo and Jones, remember Rojo Jones together? They did all right for about 2 weeks once upon a time. So like they could rediscover something at the back, but generally like I want to see Delo, I want to see Shaw, I want to see Manchester United trying something new. I don't want to see Valencia, Smalling, Jones, and Young. So even if they are all injured, who really gives a fuck? Do you know what I mean?
Look, if you think back, you think back a few years ago as well when we played Arsenal, Louis van Gaal going into it had a few injury problems and managed to draft in a few youngsters who played really well, and we ended up winning the game, so you never know. Jay, could you see Mourinho throw in a few youngsters?
Team throwing him in the bus, or I don't know if he'll throw him into the team. That's not really his MO, and I don't see him changing his spots all of a sudden and bringing in loads of youngsters to try and get him out of what is probably the biggest mess he's been in his managerial career at United. So no, I don't really think he's likely to revert to type. I actually agree with Maka. I think that Rojo and Jones is probably our best centre-back option with everyone who's fit. And it's not great, but we haven't really got a great centre-back pairing at the minute. Lindelof starts looking like a good player. He gets injured. Smalling, very up and down. Jones, the only player I know who's played about 200 games and the jury's still out. Rojo.
Jones and Smalling are going to get a testimonial, and we still know.
We're going to get one together.
Going on about it, I thought he was a decent player and he's either injured or Mourinho doesn't seem to like him. So yeah, it's not great. And I think that going back to what Maka was saying, that centre-back pairing is probably the best we've got. Answer to your question, I don't see him throwing in youngsters. I think he'll pick probably the most predictable side you can think of with the likes of Herrera, Fellaini and players like that, rather than throwing in a Pereira or someone like that or one of the youngsters. He's not Louis van Gaal, and he's not going to do what Louis van Gaal did and bring in a load of youngsters. It's not going to happen.
Scott, what do you reckon for the defence then? What can you see happening? Do you reckon a midfielder's going to be thrown in there again?
I really don't think it. I mean,
Carrick might play there.
Does it matter? I mean, I think this is why we probably should have just played attack constantly because the defence is so poor. I mean, oh my God. I mean, Ashley Young. I mean, you say thank God he's injured, but then like you go, like you say, Darmian, and you're saying Rojo. I mean, come on, guys.
That or Matic, and that's probably what Jose is going to do. He's going to play Matic and McTominay just to spite.
I mean, the reality is this is the worst. I mean, I've been watching United for decades. This is the worst set of defenders I've ever seen in my life. It really is. I mean, you talk like we're supposed to be a $3 billion club, and like you say, Phil Jones, 200 games, we still don't know if he's good. But the reality is when he comes on, we just think he's going to get injured on the 54th minute, as he usually does. Smalling's woeful, Young's woeful. We need a serious injection of cash, which, like I say, I don't think we've got. But No, I mean, he'll probably play Fellaini and Matic at the back with McTominay in front of him. I don't know. It's
tell you what, it's a good thing for Jose that it's a good thing for Jose that he's not got two really talented young defensive players out on loan in the form of Timothy Fosu-Mensah and Axel Tuanzebe, isn't it?
Tuanzebe is getting huge rave reviews.
Do the Fosu-Mensah thing, man. Every time I come on, we mention Fosu-Mensah. It's a recurring theme. It's just pains me.
Right, be a great right back. Why didn't we play him at right back? It just did again. We're all going to kick ourselves all over.
But we bought the low and then we don't play the low.
Tuanzebe, like you said as well, Scott, like the season he's having. I mean, I know it's for Villa, but still, he's having a much better season than any of our defenders.
They're singing songs about the guy.
Let's go 5 every week.
Right, guys, let's talk about your predicted 11s and who you think is going to start the game against Arsenal. It's the jury is fully out for this one. Who knows who's going to play? It's more unpredictable than the last one. Scott, I'll let you start first. Where are you in our league yet, Scott? Have you got enough appearances?
Yes.
3 appearances and an average of 7. You're second to bottom there, Scott. You're in the relegation zone. This is your chance to get a bit of daylight and get yourself into safety. Scott, what are you saying? What's your team?
I think this is going to be as ridiculous as it gets, and I think he's going to go De Gea. I think he's going to put Phil Jones at right back, or something as ridiculous as that. Is Smalling fit?
No, he's on that list. But
we recorded this preview. We recorded this preview just for everyone watching at home. We did record this before Jose Mourinho's press conference. So if he came out and said so and so is fit, so and so is injured, we weren't to know.
All right, here we go. McTominay and Matic at the centre half. Shaw left back. Fellaini, Herrera, Pogba, Martial, Rashford, Lukaku.
I'm not continuing. Are you two going to put Matic and McTominay as your centre half partnership as well, Adam?
If you want points, you got to put them on your team sheet.
Unless you want 4 points in the real world, then you don't put them in.
Yeah. David De Gea in goal. Darmian at right back. Is Luke Shaw available? No, innit? Darmian at right back. I think Luke Shaw will be available.
He went off with a knock, but I don't think it was serious. I think he was all right.
Delo and Shaw. Okay, let's do it. Delo and Shaw.
That'd be nice.
I think he didn't play Rojo against Southampton because he'd just come back, probably with this game in mind. Maybe he does still think some things through sometimes. Don't know. But Rojo and Jones. I'm gonna go with Rojo and Jones. Matic is not getting dropped ever.
No.
I think Pogba will get dropped after his awful performance against Southampton. I don't think he should get dropped, but I think he will. I think we see players, like I said, Matic has been awful for about a year and hasn't been dropped once. Matic, Fellaini, Herrera. I was going to put McTominay, but I'll go with Herrera. Martial to come back in. Lukaku. And I thought Rashford was very good, but picked up a knock, didn't he? Apparently. So maybe we'll see Lingard.
As I say, we do record this before Jose's press conference, so we may reveal a bit more about these possible injuries. Jay, who's in your team, mate? What's your predicted 11?
I think I'll go with Macca's back 5. I think it will be Delort, Shaw, Rojo and Jones. That's, I think, what you said, and obviously De Gea in net. I'm a little bit in 2 minds with the whole Pogba situation. I could see him dropping him. I think that if he does, though, he's going to cause such uproar, and it's one of them. It's 50-50. So I'll go with, for a midfield 3, I'll go with Matic. You're right, he's not getting dropped. Fred and Pogba. And then as a front 3, because Rashford's out, I'll probably go with, if he is out, I'll go with, again, similar to Maka, probably Lingard, Lukaku and Martial. I think that'll be the front 3.
Feel a bit sorry for you, AJ, to be honest, because we do this predicted 11s league, and then what happens is when you've made 5 appearances on preview, we work out your average score at the end of the season. This is actually your preview debut, and I think there's a good chance
This is the first time you've had me on this season. Was Webby unavailable?
Right, Oppo, what can you tell me about Arsenal? They're looking good at the minute. Aubameyang, Lacazette, 2 of the top goal scorers in the league, are they? Jay, what do you make of them?
They look really good, and it's another stick to beat Mourinho with, innit? Emery's come in. He's got him playing great football. Is it 19, I think, unbeaten or something silly like that?
Yes.
Everyone who was going on about how Lacazette's goal scoring compared with Lukaku's been made to look a bit silly, because him and Aubameyang are looking pretty decent. I saw him against Spurs, won a really good game, and they sort of did what we couldn't do. They bounced back from going behind, and they look like they've got not just a cohesive football going on as well. They look like got team spirit. They all look like they're fighting for one another, look like they're battling, and they look like they're enjoying the football, which is sort of alien to what's going on at Old Trafford at the minute. So this is going to be a difficult game now. There's good times to play Arsenal. It's usually when Arsene Wenger's in charge of him towards the end of his career. But this isn't one of them. They're flying, and they're almost the polar opposite of us. They've got a new manager who's come in and got them going, and we've got a manager who's stagnated, and it's not looking good. I can't remember feeling less confident going into an Arsenal game. Even under Moyes, we beat Arsenal at Old Trafford. But I think we're going to struggle, I'll be honest with you. I'm always confident of a win. But this one, I think a draw will be a good result. I'm sorry to say that, because it's we should be miles ahead of Arsenal. We really should, but we're not.
Scott, they're just coming off the back of winning the North London derby, of course. Is there a real element of fear about this Arsenal game that there hasn't been in the past coming against Wenger's Arsenal?
No, because they always struggle against Fellaini. Fellaini just seems to have their number, so I'm not worried about Arsenal. I think he will dominate as per usual. No, I'm not worried. I think Lukaku against their defence will be, well, I'd say 2 handfuls. No, joking. He's a bit of a big boy now. No, like I said, my major concern is the defence with Aubameyang and Lacazette. But like I said, if Matic and McTominay can keep it strong at the back, I'll be happy.
Stop it, Scott. If Matic and McTominay can keep it strong at the back.
All the 4. What's going on over in Sweden, Scott? I'm worried about it.
Adam, we know how much of a pain in the arse Arsenal fans can be. Some would say that they are the worst. Are you dreading this one a bit?
No, I'm not dreading it. Don't care if we lose against them, really, because they're not going to win anything. But that's a pretty damning attitude to have going into this game, and kind of shows where Manchester United are at the moment. Look, Arsenal's and Emery are everything United aren't at the moment. Enthusiastic, playing with energy. They're playing with a tactical plan. Emery is a very clever guy. They're playing with pressure. They're pressing everything. They're playing with a smile on their face. Everyone's enjoying their football. And because of that, the goals are flowing and the results are coming. They're not perfect. I think you can get at them defensively. I think they've got holes in their defence, and they'll give you a lot of spaces to make things happen. But the problem for Manchester United is we're very, very slow on the ball through the thirds. Everything's too slow, and that's that's why I feel we see so many mistakes from some of our forward players, because everything's so slow. Once the ball gets into the final third, or we're approaching the final third, everyone's thinking too long, and then that's when Pogba tries to do something stupid. He thinks so long, he thinks, all right, let me just try and flick this ball over his head. It's a dumb attitude to have, just keep it simple. Keep it so simple all the time. But these are the things you see happening on the pitch, and they're a very good side. They've got constant movement. I think the signing of Torreira has allowed Xhaka to look a lot better. I think when Xhaka was relied on to do the defensive stuff, he looked poor. He's an awful defensive midfielder. But now they've brought Torreira alongside him. They look like an efficient central midfielder, and that's why you can't talk about squads and players not being good enough, because Arsenal, on paper, are as good as us. Probably not better than us. And their manager's getting a trick out of them, something ours isn't.
Right then, score predictions, boys. Adam, go on. Let's have a positive one. Tell me we're going to win.
It's going to be 1-1.
Jay?
I keep copying Macri. I was going to say 1-0. I'll go with 2-2.
And now I know I'm going to get a win out of Scott. Scott, what score are we winning by? Come on, Scott, tell me.
I just believe this will be 4-1.
4-1! Could you imagine if Jose pulls out a 4-1?
No, I'll give my reason why. What it is every time like the chips are down, we just rise up to the occasion and shock everyone.
I'm not too sure, to be honest. I'm not too sure, but we'll wait and see. I do hope we do it. And if not, Sparky in. Right, guys, we have a new WhatsApp channel. You can subscribe to it. The link is below. Hopefully we can do it against Arsenal, though. Obviously, a massive game. Doesn't matter what situation either of the two teams are in. Arsenal versus Manchester United is always huge. Adam's going to be doing the fan cams, of course, on Wednesday. And let's hope the boys can do the business. Right, we'll catch you next time. Laters.